Yeah, we didn't we didn't push the button to get started over there. So, what's going on to my people in the chat? Major saying hello to looks like a lonely girl, ADH Adventures. Oh, ADHD Ventures. What's going on? Commander Root, M10, Marionette, Peculiar ASMR. Yes, Peculiar ASMR. I'm being unusual. Yes, unusual. And of course, my regular folks that are here today. So, as you guys probably have heard, I have been going through some major stressful things. We're talking like a lot of people are like, hey man, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Give me a call if an emergency pops up. And I always had the problem of knowing what counted as an emergency. That's a big thing. Like what counts as an emergency? What is this? But the emergency has been avoided. The wire transfer literally went out at 2:08. So everything should be going cool on that. So, instead of writing a long show, I just wanted to talk with you guys about all of that jazz. Oh, wait, I didn't oh, look at that. All right, cool. So, yeah, let's paint some miniatures. Now today we are going to do a couple of different painting techniques, okay? Because I do 4 or 5. Um I had a talk with some folks at the friendly local gaming store that I'm in, and we definitely had some talks. Now, if you guys know, I am a big lover, okay? And I mean a big lover of of Army Painter speed paints and all of that, okay? I love it. I love Army Painter speed paint. And I don't really do Games Workshop contrast paint primarily because I just can't afford it. And I don't like GW as a company, so there's that too. So, I got my speed paints, I got my other stuff going on like that, and it's all okay as far as that stuff goes. So, what do I do with that? Well, first, I make a little bit more sure that I'm in frame properly. I just caught myself on the monitor. And yeah, so I'm going to show a couple of different ways to use some of these things in a way that you should be happy with, okay? Because I got like a lot of things like, oh my God, you have to use this color primer and this, how much do you use? How much do you put on the brush? And a whole bunch of technical things. And I try not to argue with people who are passionate, okay? That is something I don't do. I used to try. When I was much younger. I was much more spry, and now I'm just like, nah. I just don't have that. I don't have that stuff in me. I really don't. I want to. I wish I were that guy, but I'm not that guy. Can't be that guy. So instead of being that guy, I'm just like, okay, those are your reasons for not liking it. Cool. But I do take the stuff that I hear not with a grain of salt. If you guys wonder what I'm doing, I'm getting some brushes together because I didn't clean them. And this is a very important lesson, y'all. Clean your brushes. Keep your upkeep going. Not just when you are I should plug in my phone as well. Not just when you're using not just when you're painting and using your stuff, but after, always give your brushes a good cleaning, or you'll be in the position that I'm in right now, and it sucks. But a lot of folks talk rather passionately about how a lot of tools seem advanced, and I'm like, no, I didn't have a problem with it. And they asked me a very important question, and that was, did you paint before? And I'm like, ooh, yeah, I did. So I'm going to throw out some really easy and really simple to follow techniques to use with some really easy models, okay? And when I say really easy models, I mean just that. This stuff, super simple, not very silly. Hey! Thank you so much, M10, for subscribing. I realized in the shot I need to set up a light because yeah, this is not looking very good or very bright. It's just gonna be working the long term. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah, the light there. It's a lot better for what I'm doing. Boy, am I packed in. If you guys could see behind the scenes of this place, you would be like, dude, so much packed in. Oh my god. So I'm gonna use some speed paint techniques. I'm gonna use some standard techniques. I'm gonna use a lot of dry brushing because today is a day for metallics. Woo! Twitch is giving out discounts on the subs, so now this is your time to subscribe to the channel. So we're gonna do a little bit of slap chopping, a little bit of metallicing, and just really just hanging. But first, I have to find a brush cleaner. Here we are. So I can give a quick clean into my brushes. Now, let's talk about brush maintenance, all right? Because a lot of folks would be like, no! And I'm like, dude, relax, okay? Just relax. Now, a lot of you guys might know me outside of here. A lot of you guys might be new to the channel. First off, I want to let you know, flat out, I'm a little bit of a weird one in the sense of I went to college for physics primarily, okay? And what that means is I worked with a lot of chemicals. And one of my favorite chemicals to work with is acetone. Now, if you are in school or under 18, let your parents handle this. Honestly, when you've got, new paints and all that stuff going, when you're doing a project, you can really easily wash your stuff with soap and water. Seriously. When you are unlike me and you're not realizing, oh yeah, I'm going live at this time and we're going to go on a little early today, and oh crap, I forgot to clean my brushes. Yeah. But every once in a while, you may have to give your brushes what's called a seriously aggressive clean. Now, if you're not like me, okay, and you got brushes that are, decent, isopropyl alcohol works a lot better to clean up a lot of your stuff. It doesn't work as fast, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't work at the glue that's that gets used to hold your brush, what's the term, there we are. Yeah. It doesn't eat away at the glue that holds your bristles to the ferrule. The ferrule is that little metal piece. All right. We'll show you. And I use cheap brushes. And when I say cheap, I mean cheap, because I'm not a professional painter. I don't want to go for a professional thing. I'm good with enough color to tell stuff apart on the board. Okay. And I've got a very strong suspension of disbelief. Now, what does that mean? You'll hear people all the time talking about, but my immersion in the game. I'm like, yeah, my immersion is pretty well set in stone. Once I'm there, I am there. I am so there. And I'm good with that. I'm very good with literally being there. I'm not looking for, or I'm not consciously or subconsciously looking for a reason to not enjoy myself. Okay. I've talked about this on the show before. I don't talk about whether or not I can tell that something is CGI. Hey, Neon, what's going on? The folks could really use an invitation to the Discord. Yeah, I don't complain whether or not I notice CGI in a movie. And it's not because I make movies, but it's because I'm aware that I am in a fantasy world and I'm immersed enough to go, yeah, that's fine. Versus if I notice that there is someone else in the room, my immersion is ruined and I can't enjoy the film. I'm not that guy. Okay. This is why we're doing this paint show. Okay. I love making happy with it for you guys because I find that a lot of people these days, not just people I know, but a lot of people I've come across, a lot of people I've met, they can fall into a trap that's really scary to me. And what do I mean by that? When we look here online on places like YouTube and Twitch and Instagram, when we see people talking about stuff, there is a very, very, very common thing. And that is critiquing, okay? But critiquing can sometimes come across as condemning. I don't like saying judging because people are like, what? I'm just judging the paint job, blah, blah, blah. I'm just judging the thing. It's like, nah. The technique that's used for judging nowadays is one that I'm not a really big fan of. And that is, well, I think I talked about this once. But if I didn't, let me talk about it now. That is, I saw a thing from Games Workshop, and these were the judges for the Golden Demon Awards. And they were saying we judge stuff the way that we do, i.e., tearing it apart, because there's so many talented artists out there, and we get so many good pieces. We can't give a prize for who's good and who's talented. We can only give a prize for who has the least flaws, because there's only one prize out to give. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But one of the things that I don't dig about that, especially since you guys know I love dealing with the young and I love dealing with beginners, is when that is your number one exposure to quality, i.e., the idea that you have to create something, anything. You're painting, you're drawing, you're writing. If you are on this kick to create the perfect thing so that someone can't look at it and find a flaw, well, you're going to end up with a complex or 8. Trust me here. I am a 46-year-old man who spent the first half of his life being pushed to improve by his family and friends and stuff like that. And the number one, and I mean the absolute number one thing that does, is cause discouragement. And I heard some of the most psychotic things when it comes to that. And I'm going to quote some of them for you, which is, well, that's just the standard. And if people crack under that pressure, maybe they shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. I used to always argue with my parents or with my mom and my older brothers, because they would be mean. They would just be mean and unrelenting. And they're like, well, that's just how the world is. And I hear this a lot from a lot of people. Well, the world is messed up. The world is looking for something wrong. And they're not incorrect in that assessment. But here's the math, okay? This is literal logic math. I don't know if it's gamer math or neurodivergent math, just math. If when you leave your home to deal with work, bill collectors, bosses, co-workers, teachers, administration, if they're all looking for something wrong in you, all the time, you should be able to go home and not have to deal with that. You know, for those of you out there watching me from work, yeah, work is going to find 1,000 things wrong with practically everything you want to do all the time. So you should be able to do something that's just plain fun, you know? And that's where we're at. But when your standards are higher than your skill level and learning is not what turns your crank, then once your enjoyment of the thing over, is it still a hobby or is it a chore? That's my question. For me, I know the answer to that. For me, it's always been a chore. And I don't like doing chores. I don't like doing dishes. I don't mind doing laundry because the machine does most of it. I just gotta gather up my clothes and throw it in a hole, you know? But yeah, so when it comes to our hobbies, we should do the stuff that's fun. Okay? And this is one of the things that helped me get out of my own perfectionism. So let's head over. Let's head over to the hobby hall itself. And yeah, let's get into that. I just want to make sure I'm in focus. Yeah, so let's head over. Hang on, we got practical effects need to come back. The 2 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles don't look nearly as visually interesting as the ones who dance with Vanilla Ice. Not hating on people who like the new one, but I prefer costumes. You know, I'm actually with you on that. I really am. You know, I always thought that the best stuff has a balance between practical effects and CGI, you know. And there are a lot of movies. Oh my God, I'm getting bigger. One of my favorite movies that does that well is the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. Oh my God, those guys did it right. But I want to address some of the negativity that we've had. Actually, I'm gonna eliminate myself on this one, and we're gonna stop the chat so I can do some fun footage things over here. Yeah, look at that. So we're gonna fade to just the thing. Ooh, I'm just a voiceover. So what we're gonna do is we are going to take this model from One Page Rules. Isn't this fun? This right here, my friends, is, I believe, a Scorpeth Lord. Okay? And this is like super fun. This is from One Page Rules because I've been kind of putting together a Necron army. And this is going to be some fun stuff. Besides, Necrons are really easy to paint. So what we're going to do, I'm checking the output on my monitor. Yeah, he is pleasantly chunky, isn't he? Oh, okay. This is in 720p. Let's make this 1080. Yeah, let's see if we can make this 1080 here. All right. Good for me on that. Isn't that fun? Hey. I also want to adjust my light to make sure I got a good amount of light coming down here. That's better. And nice and bright. Isn't that fun? So, I've already primed this. And if you guys know me, you know I am that guy. So I primed this with Duplicolor Sandable Primer. Okay? Now this costs about $8 from most AutoZones or O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ow! Okay? And so he's been nice and primed. All right? And we're going to start with Army Painter Metallic. Oh, no, not that one. No. Army Painter Metallic Gunmetal. Of course. Yeah, we're going to start with Army Painter Gunmetal. All right? Gunmetal is awesome. We do like gunmetal. If you've got Games Workshop stuff, just start with Lead Belcher. And yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to go for some dry brush. All right? So the first thing we do when we dry brush is we're going to take our water and we're going to dip our brush and then we're going to bat it off. Because dry brushing isn't just dry brushing, it's more like moist brushing. Okay? That's what we're going to do. Okay? There we go. You see how when I put it on my finger, you can see it's just a tiny bit wet? So we're going to take a little bit off of there. And we're going to take some of this gunmetal. Going to shake it up real good. And we're just going to pop it. Ooh, right into our palette. Now, a lot of folks have a texture palette that they use. And that is awesome. Okay. I haven't gotten a texture palette. Now, a lot of folks will tell you when you're dry brushing, don't use paper towel. But if you do, dab it. Dab. All right, there we go. And now we're just going to take this and make some circles. See? Look at that. A lot of folks are like, oh, I don't like dry brushing because it makes my models look all chalky. And I get that. I get that amazingly. Okay? Yeah, there we go. We're just going to give this an all over dry brush. Dab, dab, dab. Okay. Technically a base coat. Ooh, base coating. Hey, look at that. All right. And you don't got to be super neat, you know, but you do need to have a moderately light touch. And this is important to have a moderately light touch because you don't want to snap your minis. Okay. I'm a bass guitar player, so I've got really strong hands, and I suffer from shatter and splatter, you know. So sometimes I could be dry brushing and I'll just take an arm right off. It is so irritating. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing it this way on screen. See what I mean? Right there. Just popped. Oh, right off. That's okay. Yeah, so there we go. We got all that going. Yeah. Get that in there until we have an all-over coat of the silver. Now, a lot of people would say, hey, your Necrons are done, but that's not me. So, yeah, the stuff I want to talk to you guys about. We're going to get into the main subject of the conversation, but I think that was a really important call that I just missed. I've been doing a lot of litigation stuff with my lawyer, and my figure's just falling apart. This is what happens when you overcure your minis. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be right back, guys, and we are going to glue this back while I take this call. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to turn everything off. What I am going to do is I'm going to glue this back together. I'm just going to be on silent. Okay, so we will see you guys. Well, you'll hear from me in just a sec. This is taking a lot longer than I'd hoped. Again, the thing when you're dealing with official stuff, guys, is no one cares what you're doing. It gets really annoying. When you've got lawyers and family members and you're like, hey, I'm on the air. This is my job. They're like, I don't care. I need to talk to you now. And yeah. So let me just see. Okay, good. That wasn't a problem. So, and I've got one of the deckers that's coming down today. To pick up a really fun and important thing for them. So that is going to be cool. So yeah. So unfortunately, I got to glue this stuff back together. Because I told you guys I have very strong hands. And having strong hands tends to mean I bust my miniatures like right off their bases. It is most annoying. So yeah. Now, I wanted to talk to you guys about something really interesting to me. Okay? And that is misplaced attitudes. Okay? And yeah, I call them misplaced. Let me tell you a story. I met a dude who swears to all the gods in the Northern Pantheon that they will never, ever, 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 ever eat at a certain fast food chain again. And I said, oh, why? What's wrong? Did you get food poisoning? Like, what happened? And they went on to tell me about a story about how they were hanging out with some friends, and one of their friends decided to play a joke on him and ordered him a vegetarian burger. Ordered him a burger with impossible meat. And I found it kind of interesting because, the guy at the drive-thru, fulfilled the order, they did all that stuff. And then the guy took the burger back. He fed the burger to the guy. And the guy got all mad. Blah, blah, blah. I hate impossible meat. It shouldn't be a thing. I can tell the difference because I'm that guy. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, so you're blaming the restaurant and not the guy who ordered the burger, but what, are you blaming the restaurant for fulfilling the order that was given at the window and not knowing that it was for you? Like, I don't understand that. And of course the guy gave me a bit of a tood when I asked the question, and I'm like, okay, well, hey, let's pretend I didn't bring it up. Another story, and this is from actually one of our yeah, they look like they what? But anyway, another story. I was talking to one of my rider dogs, and it's funny because I really like the Custodes army. I really do. I like the lore. I like their bling. I'm just like, yeah, these guys are just awesome. I like them a lot. And he's like, let's head back to the hobby hall. And this guy, I finally had to ask him, all right, what is your beef with Custodes? Like, what is your beef with them? And this guy, of course, plays Warhammer 40k, and I challenge anybody who plays that game to find me an army that doesn't fall under the standard complaint of they're overpowered. I'm like, everybody is overpowered in that game, and everybody is terrible. Every faction. There are no good guys in the game. So what's the problem? And so he finally told me that when he was playing regularly, he knew a dude who was, well, he was like a shower, but in French. And, you know, this particular guy was really, really obnoxious. Now, see, here we are here. We've got the silver or we've got the gunmetal. And this is like out there. The gunmetal is out there. Look at that. This guy is all nice and shiny. But we are going to make him even shinier using Shining Silver from Army Painter as well. No, they're not sponsoring me yet. I wish they were. So if you guys can hear this over at Army Painter, give me a sponsorship. That would be great. I know I don't have a whole lot of subscribers yet because people are really going to use their Amazon Prime account to subscribe. So with this, now we're going to take the Shining Silver and we're going to do some object source lighting, i.e. only the topmost parts. Okay, only the top parts. Look at that, just the top. Okay, that's it. Yay, that's it. Oh boy, look at the top. All right, now I'm going to be a little wacky with this. And while we're waiting for this to dry, we're going to do a different model. But he let me know that the guy that played Custodes against him was a whack player. WAAC, or win at all costs. And I'm like, okay. And he then went on to tell me that the guy was obnoxious about it as well. And I'm like, okay. So that guy was obnoxious. Yeah, he was seriously obnoxious. And so here, look at this. This is why. This right here is why I brought up the Custodes thing. All right, we have my counts as a Custodes Blade Master because I like dudes that fight double swords. I did a few chips and things to his swords because I wanted to make it look like he'd been doing some stuff. And we're going to start with the Shining Silver. Okay? This is what we're going to do. Because this guy, I want him to be shiny. One, because he's kind of leading some units in my Custodes army. Okay? And second, and this is a really big one, I've started again to kind of rebuild my War Machine army. And instead of buying a bunch of Knights Exemplar, I'm like, you know, I'm just going to Luffy myself some Custodes clones and mess with the scale and all that stuff. And I'm going to use those guys. And this guy is going to be my Knights Exemplar Seneschal. So, isn't that fun? As a matter of fact, so is his brother. Okay? As you guys can see, metallics are easy and fun. But we're going to do two things with these metallics. All right? One is going to be quick, and one is going to be not so quick. All right? And it all depends on how you are happy with it. So this is going to be fun. Okay? As you guys see, I'm just giving him a real quick once over. Look at him, he's silver. Oh, he's so silver. Yay, look at all that silver. Okay? Yeah, look at that. Isn't that fun? He's silver, and he's silver. Again, since I'm still using that Shining Silver, we're going to do a second coat on these high parts. This, again, all the parts that the sun would hit. And see, dry brushing and contrast painting are essentially made for each other. Now, with the Necrons, this guy is practically done. Focus. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, look at this guy. He's practically done. You know who he is on the table. But we got to add a few more colors just to give him a little zhuzh, you know? So the next color that we are going to add is weapon bronze from Army Paint. Okay? And this we're going to pull out one of our smaller brushes. All right, what size is this? This is a number 2 brush. Okay, just a number 2 brush. And if you guys notice, I don't really thin my paints. What I do is I wet my brush and I use thin coats when I'm doing stuff. You guys have seen me do this technique. I'm a real big fan of the checkerboard type techniques. Okay, I just look for the natural lines and I just go in there and I make it so. Doesn't take a whole lot. Ain't that hard, you know. These guys are scorpions with crab arms, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, and I'm just adding a tiny bit of detail so that he matches the rest of my army. Okay, see, this gives just a little bit of life. A little bit of life just to go, hey, look at all that. But make sure to get the inside now. Make sure to get these insides. Hilarious. Super, super hilarious. There we go. You know what? We're going to start over with a different Necron model. Okay? So let's start over. Let's take this guy. Hooray! And with this guy, we're going to go back to the gunmetal and do a quick overall dry brush. Okay? So let's do that again. Ooh, look at that. Yeah. Okay. And this guy is one of my overlords. Okay. Yeah, I made him a little bigger, a little more chunky. Right? A little bit awesome, in my opinion. Okay. And we're just going to give him an all over brushing. Brush up, brush up, brush up. Make it go all over. Brush up, brush up, brush up. There we go. Oh, look at that. Okay. And again, we just want to bring out that sheen. And yes, he's got 2 heads. Oh, look at that. There we go. Yeah, look at that. All right. Yeah, he's in. Neon Arlecchino was like, oh, is he missing glowiness? Not yet. Okay. Yeah, and we're going to get all that in there. Just look at all that in there. Make sure you don't miss too many spots. Again, a lot of people choose Necrons because they're easy to paint. And then they're fooled. Ha 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 ha, you fool. And what fools them? They're super easy to paint, but as you can tell with my little scorpion guy, they're very fragile. So, kind of difficult to put together, kind of difficult to transport. Okay, very difficult to transport. All right, there we go. Now, we're going to take our shining silver. Yay, our shining silver. And get him back up to where the other ones were. Shining silver. As you can see, guys, this does not take very long. Okay. There, yeah. And we're only going to do shining silver. What I like to do is I like to put the model down and I like to go from the sky. Just from the top down. What am I going to be seeing when I'm looking at this thing on the table? Okay. And all the stuff that I'm going to see on the table, I'm going to make all briggity bright. Look at all the briggity brightness. All right. Yeah, there we go. Boom. That's it. Now, we walk away. All right. So we have a little bit of, we already have some contrast with all that. Now, we go back in with our weapon bronze. Okay? Our weapons bronze. And Make sure our brush is nice and moist. And we just do the every other panel technique on the weapons bronze. Okay? And what do I mean by every other panel? When you look at a model, there'll be already identified lines. Okay? Serious identified lines. So, we put everything in and we use those lines. Okay? This does not have to be rocket science. You know, we keep a little bit there, a little bit there, you know. And so we go, hey, where are the natural creases on this thing? And that is what we use. And that's all. And as you guys can see, this doesn't take much time. Going over each one. Now, if the real painters out there, you know, the true Scotsman, as it were to see me doing this, they'll be like, no, you're being too sloppy with your paint. You should thin your paints more. Guess what? Not your minis. Okay? I'm really big on that. Not your toys. Here we go. So now we're going to give, go in there and give this guy's spikes a little bit. Just a little bit of color. Ooh, look at the spikes. Okay. I want to make a little bit of, some would call it visual interest. I just want to make sure that you can see parts of this. Okay. It's in keeping with the theme. Oh, look at that. Okay. Yeah. See that guy? Yeah, look at all that. Now, I want to pick out some other details that I want to show off as metal. Okay. So, there we go. Boop, boop, boop. Right on in. And again, this doesn't have to be Golden Demon worthy. Most painters would look at what I'm doing right now and they would be like, what? You're just blocking. Yeah, I am. Okay. And see what else? Well, he's got a big round thing there. So that's an eye. And we're going to do this on the shoulder pad. Okay. A little bit on the shoulder pad. Okay. Make the shoulder pad all round, metal, and easy to pick out. Okay. All right. Yep. Metal, round, easy to pick out. Now this is coming along really neat. All right. We got another orb here. And let's take care of that big old joint there. Yeah, we'll just make his elbows that color there. And we'll give him a bit of a manicure here. There we go. A little bit of a manicure. Just so that, you know, he can be like, hey, look at my nails. I just got my nails did. Yeah, just got the nails did. So, moving on. So yeah, well, it turns out the Custodes guy, okay, he played a game against a very obnoxious player that played Custodes. And I'm like, okay. Now, I let him know, every player I know that plays that particular army is actually pretty cool, pretty nice, you know? And he was like, well, you're playing with different people than I was. I'm like, no, I get that. My question to you, and this is something that I've had to wrestle with for quite a bit. Was it the army that he was playing? Or was it him? And he's like, yeah, no, it was the guy. I'm like, oh, so you're admitting that it was the dude. And he's like, yeah, the guy was an obnoxious jerk. He's a whack player. He won't play unless he can power game his way to victory. And When he won, he was a bad sport about it. And when he lost, he was a worse sport about it. I'm like, okay, well, maybe, just maybe, a lot of folks are upset at the incorrect things. Okay? A lot of people were telling me like, I shouldn't be so mad at Games Workshop, and I only had a couple of bad experiences, and I'm like, whoa, hold up. My bad experiences are what kept me out of playing 40K, primarily because the community that was available to me was a little bit racist. And I'm just putting that out there. I'm saying it out loud. You can fight me. I don't care. All right? But the fact that they kicked me out of the store for using an army or for wanting to learn how to play with an army that someone loaned me, and then when he took his game, when he took that very same army into the very same store, he was able to have a good day. The only difference between he and I, other than the ownership of that army, was our tan. You get it? Fortunately, though, and I talked to some women I know who wanted to play, and they were treated very similarly because of their lack of a certain organ. Fortunately, that store isn't there anymore. But that particular friend doesn't want to learn how to play 40K because of that. And my friend about the Custodes things just kept talking crap about the army that I chose to play. And so I had to let them know, all right, now look at this. Now, while we've got all this out, you see, now this guy looks good enough to play. All right, he looks good enough to play. But we are not done. All right, now that we've got that going, what we need to do is we need to add a little bit of a glow. And if y'all have been watching this channel, y'all know my favorite color is blue. So we are now going to bust out the Army Painter Speed Paint and go for Tidal Wave. Yay, Tidal Wave. And we're not going to do a whole lot. We're just going to do a couple of thin coats. Maybe just a thin coat. Right over the parts that we want to look a little different. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our brush and we're going to go over his real big thing. And as you guys can see, this is a very thin paint. It's almost like a glaze or a wash. And what this does is it breaks up the monotony of all that metallic with a metallic that shouldn't be metal. There we go. And look at that. So I had to talk with him, and I'm like, well, I would appreciate it if you stop talking crap on the army that I like to play. Because I've had way too many people give me way too much crap over the stuff that I prefer. And that's the stuff that scares away new players. And again, it's the same principle of I'm never eating at fast food establishment because someone that I know did something. And I'm going to give him a little bit of a center thing. He's got like a center thing on his chest. There we go. And I'm going to make one of his heads the same blue. Isn't that fun? Okay. And of course, his arm thing. Because his arm thing is an arm thing. And as you can see, I'm not really using a lot of paint here. Okay? It's super thin. Okay? And what I'm doing right now, guys, is I'm letting the paint do the work that I don't want to do. Because these are toys and not living things that have been hit with shrink. Here we go. You see? Now, There. And now to add just a little bit of variety, okay, we're just doing this with a second coat without even cleaning our brush. Okay, actually, no, we're going to clean our brush. Okay, I got to build better habits. Okay, so we are going to take some speed paint, Royal Rose. Okay, now you can't really tell this on this because I didn't set up my lighting properly, but this is very much a purple. So we're going to take the purple and we're going to load up our brush kind of heavy, and we're going to put this purple on here. Okay, and see how I'm just kind of sopping it on. This is all of the purple that we are going to use for half the row. See how I'm just pushing it around? A lot of people are like, oh, but coffee staining. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, I actually want coffee staining. Coffee staining is stuff like here where it starts pulling up and it looks like you spilt coffee on your mini. And the easiest way to get rid of that, and I want to show you guys, is just push the paint somewhere else. Ain't that difficult. Not a nightmare. Okay? There we go. That's half, and now we're going to do the other half. The other half. Yeah, there we go. Get the stuff in the recesses and call it a day. You know? And now we're going to do the really difficult thing of going in and yeah, there we go. Have to get in on that underside just in case. You don't really have to, but I'm going to because it's there and I want to use up this paint. There we go. And now we're going to take what's left on our brush and just give a tint to his orb. It's on my orb. I got an orb. There we go. And finally, we're going to add, not quite a contrast, but we're going to go for Speed Paint Hive Dweller Purple. This is from the old line of Speed Paint, the 0.1s. And we're going to do the same thing. Boop. To his little crotchety robe. Okay. That's it. And this is a really, really deep purple, like the back. Okay. And then we're just going to take our finger and wipe a little bit. Just a little bit. Wipe it off a little bit. Actually, we're going to take our paper towel. Hey, Blurtish! What's going on, Mr. Cooper? Lurkin. Thank you. So, yeah. And we're going to take that same purple, that same brush. We're not doing anything different. And we're going to do up his knees. Okay? Do up his knees. Okay? And there we go. This guy's ready for the table. We're good. Let's move on. Now that we've got these guys and our silver, okay, we are going to take that same Hive Dweller Purple. All right, Hive Dweller Purple, and we are going to do his robes. Metal. Okay. I want to thin this down a bit with water so that I can really get some wiping on this. Okay. Now, when I was just starting out painting, I picked armies that had a lot of long drapey cape things, and I realized back then that I really, really love glimmering robes. This is the reason that I do a metallic undercoat. Back then, I would take like a true silver and add ink to it. for the color that I wanted. And I'm talking like straight up ink. But I'm very broke right now, and I'm out of ink. But the Army Painter does the job as well. Now see, we've got a lot of coffee staining here, and that's fine. Because all we're going to do, we're going to take our brush that's moderately dry, and we're just going to mop it up. That's it. Mop it up, B. That's it. That's all. It's not that critical, guys. Okay? And all this stuff will get your minis table ready. And by table ready, what I mean is, will your opponent know what you're talking about? And finally, I'm going to do this on his hair. Okay? His long, beautiful coif right here. All you got to do. Coif and coif. All right? So there we go on that. Isn't that fun? Okay? And now, again, since we're doing the speed painting thing, we are going to take Hoplite Gold. Oh, thank you so much, Gaming Fix. We're going to take Hoplite Gold and another brush. Meh. All right. And again, this is the quick way. All right. Now that we got the Hoplite Gold out there, nice and shook, and we are going to speedily paint this. There we go. Got the Hoplite Gold, and we're just going to put this everywhere that we didn't put the purple on. Okay. Except for a sword, of course. Yeah, there we go. Dip. Wipe. Now, I'm pretty sure speed paint makes another gold that's more bright and more luxurious. Okay? And we'll get to that when I find it and buy it. When I have more than $14 in my bank account. Okay. So yeah, and you see what we're doing here? Just popping in that Hoplite Gold. And again, we've been broadcasting for about an hour now. Actually, for 1 hour and 5 minutes. And we've already got a lot of this stuff down with our golden boards. Okay, and we have a finished Necron dude. And that's cool. So, yeah. Like I said, we're just going to go. And just a thin coat. Okay. And now, finally, the chest. And do the chest. Okay. And yeah, this isn't that critical. It's not that important. You know, I'm actually trying a new paint scheme with this because I haven't actually used the Hoplite Gold before, but I'm kind of digging it. It's got a very gold tinge on it. It definitely does the job that it says it's set out to do, and I appreciate it. Good. And my light automatically turned off, and that was just not the business. So, there we are. So yeah, focus. Focus. So yeah, and here we are with our Hoplite Gold. Alright, I don't really like that. I don't really like that color. I don't like his robe. And unfortunately, I didn't bring a red with me. But yeah, oh, look, see, I missed a spot. I missed a spot with the gold. Okay. Woo, 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 woo. Can you woo, woo, woo? Can you woo, woo, woo? Can you? Can you woo, woo, woo? I can woo, woo, woo. Ah, no closed captions, huh? I'll figure out how to fix that. By the way, everybody give a shout out to Gaming Fix. They're almost done with their special effects and makeup course, and they've been working really hard at that. So, yeah, look at that. Okay? So yeah, my guy is there. And see, if we wanted to, this is where we could end it. We could just walk away here. But we're going to do a little bit more. What we're going to do is we're going to take a different brush and we're going to go over the other technique. All right? So, let's take this guy, his twin. Focus. Yeah, focus. Yeah, look at that. All right? And now we're going to do multiple layering. Yay! Multiple layering. Why, whatever do you mean? Well, we're going to take this little brush and we're going to do a little dry brushing. Okay? So we're going to start with our weapon bronze. Okay? And this will give us a decent goldish effect over time. Okay? And we're just going to do sort of an overbrushing. Ooh, look at that. Overbrushing with the bronze. Notice I haven't put the colors and stuff on this guy. And that's because this technique is really messy. Okay? And if you guys are like, well, how much do I put? How much? Yeah, just feel it out, guys. You know, don't worry about doing it perfectly. Alright? That's not what we're here for. We are here to have fun making our toys. And with anything, the more time and energy that you put into it, the better result you'll get. Okay? But again, I put my stuff out there because I like playing games. I don't like to get, you know, a lot of folks get into tabletop miniatures and they do it to model. A lot of people do it to model. But they spend their time doing the painting and getting lost down that rabbit hole, which can be therapeutic and kind of cool. But I know my neural spice with a lot of it is I've ended up waiting years and years and years and years, and that is not an exaggeration, to play games with my friends who are actually more model makers than they are game players. They're still gamers, okay? But they model more than they play. And I used to get caught in that. Do I blame the game? No. Now let's get back to the subject at hand. Being mad at the wrong stuff. Okay? Now I'll let you guys know, I learned years ago, at the time, what I didn't like about Games Workshop is this. Oh man, here we go. Let me check to see who's in the chat really quickly. Wow, lots of folks. Cool. So, one of the reasons that I was so anti-Games Workshop for very long didn't have a lot to do with their games. All right, I hadn't played a Games Workshop game. Here we are. Now we're gonna go to Greedy Gold. Greedy Gold is one of my favorite colors from Army Painter Warpaint. All right, it's so bright. Okay, and we're gonna take our brush, and what we're gonna do with this isn't a dry brush, but an overbrush with Greedy Gold. And you see how the Greedy Gold acts a lot like a big shiny dry brush. This is, as I said with the technique earlier, what do I see when I look down at my stuff from the table? Boom. Alright? There we go. Yeah, Anna, I see you. Okay. And this is much closer to the paint scheme that I have for the rest of my custodians. Okay. So let's look at these guys side by side. This is very cool. Army Painter Hoplite Gold. And this is Greedy Gold on top of copper. Okay. Both of them are fine. Both of them are perfectly acceptable. Now I'm going to do an overbrush on this guy with the Greedy Gold because, you know, I'm like gold member. I like gold. Okay. It's the main reason I picked this one. And yeah. And see, this looks a lot more gold. Yeah, so we've got the dark gold and we've got the super bright gold. And this is cool because I'm going to be playing with two of these things on the table. And I'll know which one will be with one unit, one will be with another unit. And if they end up together, I'll be able to tell them apart and I'll know which one has which enhancement. Because you can tell from the gold. One guy is a little redder than the other. Hey, look at that. Isn't that fun? All right. So, yeah. So, this is some fun stuff right here. I need some coffee. So, hey, guys. So, yeah. This part has actually been pretty cool and pretty therapeutic because, man, I have had it. We're not done. Oh, we're not done. Because we've got one more color that we're going to go over that. Because, of course, when you do things like gold metallics and things like that, you got to give just a little bit of another thing. And that's what we're going to do. But, I need to take a little bit of a break. You know, and again, why do they call this speed painting? I've managed to do about 3 miniatures in under an hour, you know, because I didn't get right to painting when we turned on the stream. Let's be real. But yeah, so again, my friend was really upset at the custodians and I stayed away from Games Workshop for a while. Let me tell you why. My beef was back in the early 2000s, and I don't know if this still falls under their business practices. But what they would do is they would open up their own stores, which is cool. Store shit, you know, if there's a brand that does their thing and they want to open up their own store, yeah, you know what? Apple has the Genius Bar. Starbucks has Starbucks. You know, open up your own store, sell your product. Cool. But what they would do, at least back in the early 2000s when I first tried, was first they would open up a store. And that would be cool, but they would only open their stores in middle class areas, which, you know, that's their prerogative. It's their store. They can use whatever business model they want. But I'm not middle class. And what that meant was that in order to go to these stores, I had to put myself in physical and situational peril. And that was not cool, you know? But okay, you know what? That's fine. And if you guys are wondering about the situational peril, well, when you're an urban black person and you have to go to the suburbs, a lot of people in the suburbs don't want you there, so they do things like call the police, they interrogate you, like, what are you doing here, all that other stuff. So if I wanted to play their game, I had to do that. But that wasn't what I was mad at them. One of the other things that they would do is they would open up, they would have local gaming stores, would carry their product as per their prerogative, which is cool because, back in the early 2000s, there weren't a lot of miniatures games out there. Okay, there really weren't. There's always the historic wargaming stuff, but not a lot of people wanted to do that unless they were history buffs. But yeah, what they would do through the 90s and the early 2000s, I don't know if these are their business practices today. Outside of the way that their normal model works, which is, you buy the main rule book for stupid high of a price, and then you got to buy the codexes, and then you got to keep up with White Dwarf, and then with all these microtransactions. They were this bad even before the age of cell phone games. All right. However, what they would do with the friendly local gaming stores is they would ask the friendly local gaming stores to carry their stuff. And when the friendly local gaming store did so, because Games Workshop might have been a little far away, they started doing these weird practices like raising the minimums on the amounts that the friendly local gaming stores had to buy from month to month. And once the friendly local gaming stores kept meeting the quota, if they did so for like 10 to 18 months, the Games Workshop company would open up a store within a mile of the friendly local gaming stores. Now, what this is, if those of you guys were like, well, yeah, I mean, that's just business. Hold on a minute. Okay, think about this. The friendly local gaming store would build the community. They would get new people into Warhammer or Warhammer Fantasy, or should I say they would get the new people into 40K or Warhammer Fantasy or Blood Bowl or Battlefield Gothic or Necromunda or the other game that's like Necromunda but not quite Necromunda. Forgot what it is, but its terrain is thick walls. Neon probably knows, but anyway. And so these friendly local gaming stores would build this community from the ground up. And then as soon as the community was thriving, then Games Workshop would come in and take that community. So at the time, a friendly local gaming store, like the one I worked at, needed about $500 to $600 in sales a day to substantiate being open. Well, because of Games Workshop, these stores would build communities, making it $1,500 to $1,600 a day, but most of that would be in Games Workshop product. So, and it would be in Games Workshop product in order to keep the quota, and so eventually their stores became de facto Games Workshop stores. They wouldn't sell, they wouldn't sell that as much in, say, D&D or Reaper stuff or the White Wolf games or Battletech, that kind of stuff. And so once they succeeded at that particular mission, then in comes Games Workshop building a store and taking away all of that work and all of that revenue. So it's essentially that big corporation would tell small business owners, build me a client base so that we can then take it from you. And if you go under because now your store is known as a Games Workshop spot, tough. Just tough. And I wasn't going to add to that because friendly local gaming stores are the life's blood of the nerd community. I don't care if it's a friendly local video game store or an RPG store or a mini store. That's what it was. Now, I know it's not as much like that now with Amazon and eBay being out there. I mean, let's keep it 100, right? Um, but that's what they were. That's what they were like 20 years ago. So I didn't want to put money in their pockets. Okay, but see, here's the thing. They do have a ubiquity on the communities. Okay. My favorite tabletop minis game to play currently is Carnivale. And in a very, 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 very close second is One Page Rule. But Games Workshop's business practices burned a lot of their old customers, and that leaves a lot of anger. And, so it's kind of hard to get a game of stuff from Games Workshop in with the people that I know, because they were burned and they don't want to go back, or they were told they couldn't play because they were girls, or they were told that they shouldn't play because they look like me, or they weren't even let into the stores because they look like me. So that's a difficult thing. Now, things have gotten better, and I've met a lot of very cool people in the Warhammer community that just love playing. And that has been very cool. It's been very enlightening, and I've met some amazing, amazing people. So I'm kind of in with it, especially because of things like 3D printing. Love the 3D printing. I'm like the proxy guy. Okay. And there are a lot of people, since today's theme is get mad at the wrong things. And with that, let's get back to the hobby hole. Now, we're here, and hey, look, I glued it back together. So, now there are a lot of people that don't want to play games that even remind them of Games Workshop. They just have so much trauma behind it, or behind the people that they played with. And the fact of the matter, guys, okay, is that there are a lot of people out there that rest their whole identity, and I mean everything that they are, on the hobby that they've chosen or the games that they play. But with that being the case, it's important to recognize whether or not you are, I guess you can say, upset, whether or not your upsetness, your wrath, is pointed in the right direction. With the guy that I talked to about the Custodes thing, he did admit that he was mad at the guy, and he has fun giving crap to anybody who plays that army that wasn't there at the time he was playing and wasn't part of the community. But I let him know that, quite seriously, if not for my 3D printing, he would have costed me a lot of money as a new player, because I'm told a lot, especially when it comes to my complaining, that the words we use have power. You never know who's going to be listening to you and who is going to be looking at you to see how to do stuff, guys. Okay? And this is one of the reasons that I talk to people in the community the way that I do. Because that person that's new at the game store might not know your private joke. And so when people call Ultramarine Smurfs or Blue Boys or main character syndrome or character immunity stuff, or when they I met somebody that was just super obnoxious because he plays what are they, wolves, the space wolves, the gray wolves, whatever they're called, the Lehman Russ guys. And I play Thousand Sons, and every word out of his mouth about the game was about how my faction sucked and his faction was the greatest. And I'm like, dude, I'm new, I haven't read the fiction, but you're making me not want to play with you, and you're making me feel as though I wasted my money because I didn't pick what you liked. Again, words have power. And not because I look up to this guy, I don't even know his last name. But that is the impression that I get about people who play that faction. And it makes me really reticent to tell people what army I play, As you guys know, if you've been watching the channel during my 40K journey, custodians were the first thing I picked. But a lot of people wouldn't play against me because of their personal issues with that army. And then I picked the Ultramarines. And same deal. And I guess the point that I'm getting around to, guys, is that a lot of folks have what I like to call gaming trauma. Okay? But that stuff comes around people and experiences. But most folks don't want to talk about the people or the experiences. They blame what's easiest. And why is it easy to blame Games Workshop? Because Games Workshop don't know who you are. They're not going to answer back. Okay? But what that does in the long term, okay? And I don't want to sound like some sort of preservationist or conservative person or anything, but what that does in the long term is it limits your accessibility, most of the people I know that are bad sports, okay, are bad sports because of experiences that they've had with people. One of my closest gamer friends didn't learn how to game. He learned to power game. And that was his reference point for playing just about anything. He didn't just play games, he had to break them. And he didn't get much of a chance to play with people except for the people that taught him how to play. That was it. The only other people that would play with him would be either people that were also power gamers or the very people who taught him how to be that way in the first place. And when folks started getting married and moving away and stuff like that, what my poor friend had at that point was a whole collection of games that he couldn't play with a significant other. Which brings us to our next topic. Okay? One of the things that I see a lot, and this is one of the things I'm trying to address with Back in the Deck as a whole, okay, is a lot of people have this idea that girls don't like gaming, okay? Especially war games and stuff like that. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of the time, women, it's not that they don't like gaming, it's that they don't like gaming the way that other people game. Okay? Some of them game different. I did a show on this a couple of weeks ago about how with RPGs, a lot of women like talking their way out of stuff. They don't like dungeon delving because they, and this is not a women like this. No. But the women that I talked to said that they spend a lot of time thinking about their character. Okay? They think about their character, they think about who their character is, they create a whole person. And they don't want that person to die because of a bad dice roll. And I'm like, you know what? That's fair. That's really, really fair. So instead of getting mad or arguing with the DM, they just try to avoid fights. If they could talk their way out of the combat, they will. And what I can see is that a lot of them like the story, the setting, not the fight, but the why they fight. And the women I know that do tabletop wargaming, they approach it from a much different place, okay, than the men that I know that approach the whole tabletop wargaming. I know a lot of women who love the hobby aspect, but they don't like the crap talking. They don't like the chirping as hockey players would call it. They're there to have fun with their friends, and a lot of people. I'm in this camp myself. As good as I am at bagging on people or playing the dozens or making fun or talking crap, I don't like doing it. Every time I open my mouth to talk crap on something or someone, I increase the odds that I am going to hit a sore subject and that I'm going to hurt something. Some kid was bagging on me when I was in the 5th grade. I remember this like it was yesterday. And he said something that was particularly horrible, and I looked at him and I'm like, well, that's why your grandfather died. And he was ready to go to blows. And you know what? He should have been. What I said was out of line. It was out of line. It was cruel. It was mean. And it hit on something that I didn't know affected him so hard. I was a kid. And I got a little neuro flavoring. So I didn't realize that the way my family looks at death, the afterlife, passing, was not the same way that he did. And that's my point. I was unaware that he did not share my perspective. And I said something that was messed up. And so a lot of folks, especially the folks that come from what I call the disenfranchised sector, okay? There's a lot of aspects of those who come from the sectors that have their enfranchisement, that, how can I put it? The only way they know how to empathize is to put themselves as they are in the position of the person that they're interacting with. Which, kind of a nice effort, but the difficulty, guys, that comes in with that is that they put themselves as they are. So when you put yourself in the shoes of a person whose feelings you hurt, or a person that's going down with that, that's going through something, you're not considering where they're coming from. You're considering where you would come from. And that, by definition, is not empathy. Okay? And this is where a lot of people get hurt, When it comes to crap talking at the table, if you're around my age, i.e. mid-40s, and you grew up in the 80s, a lot of people got made fun of all the time on what we call general principle. Gotta wear the right shoes, gotta wear the right clothes, gotta listen to the right stuff. Anything out of the ordinary or out of popular culture was fodder for vicious mockery. Okay? Anything at all. And that takes a toll. Okay? As my therapist would say, that would use a lot of spoons. Okay? See what we're doing now? We're making a 3-color pattern. Blue, gold, silver. Blue, gold, silver. Blue, gold, silver. Gold, blue, gold. And now we're going to finish off this blue here. And then we're going to skip the silver and go to the next one. There we go. See, now this guy's got some flavor. Look at all that. And we need another color, but I'm going to go for like a red or something on his scarf. Okay. But yeah, so there we go on that. Now let us go back to the other guy. here. Okay. Let's go to these guys because we have a mission for these guys. Now, these guys have some dark stuff in there. They got some real dark stuff in their thing. So we're going to go in with Greylord Gray. Okay. Going to go in with some Greylord Gray and get these guys' joints because they need a little bit of breaking up. Just a little bit of contrast. Focus. Ooh, look at that. See what I got there? I'm going to make sure that not every piece of this got, because you got to have some benefit parts. If you look at, say, a Stormtrooper's outfit, it's not all white. They're wearing some black underneath. Alright? This is going to go around his butt. Okay. And this will really bring out some of those lines. Okay, a little bit inside here. Not a lot. And we're going to re-go over his hair in black. Because, yeah, we got to pick a color. I'm probably going to pick the standard red. Okay. Yeah. This is why 3D printing is not going to kill the industry. It's kind of a pain to cure these the right way. Alright. So yeah, we'll just put that aside and see what we got there. But we still have to really outline some lines and get those guys in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same with this guy that's in Hoplite because we still got the paint out there. And you can do this with regular black acrylic paint. I just didn't bring any to the thing, to the hobby hall today. And see, if you notice, we have some underlaying parts that are there. Okay. And this will really bring out some definition. And speaking of bringing out definition, what we're going to do here is we're going to give this sort of a wash. Okay, I want to give some creepiness on this. And we're going to take our bigger brush. Okay. I'm going to take this brush right here. And we're going to take some Crusader skin, okay? And with that Crusader skin, we are going to take our Crusader skin. We're going to wet up our brush nice and good, okay? And what we're going to do with this Crusader skin, this watered down Crusader skin, is we are going to give this a good wash. Wash is going to sink into these recesses and it's going to bring out a lot of the details in that filigree. Okay. Look at that filigree. Bring that detail out. Oh, look at you. Okay. And some of it getting eyes. Okay. Because we want to define all these lines. This sculptor put in a lot of work. Okay? And we're going to go over this with one more dry brush or one more oval brush before this is done. But yeah, we just want that to sink in there, get kind of grimy, bring out these lines. Okay? See what we got there? Look at all that. Okay? And now we can really see the difference between these two. This is with the wash, and when it dries, it's going to dry a lot more. And this is without. Okay? Yeah, and this is when it dries. It's not going to be as thick or as chunky or as grimy. It's only going to take a hot minute, and we're going to do the same thing with our Wobots. Okay, get some more water in here. There we go. Yeah. All right. If you're wondering why I like Army Painter stuff so much, is that it's a company that was made for me. They're not about art and winning awards. They're about getting your stuff on the table. It's in the name. They're called Army Painter, not award winners. You know? And that kind of thing is very important to a gamer like me. Because again, this just makes it so I'm happy with stuff. And will I be happy with it? I plan on being happy with it. Now, what am I going to do with these swords? I don't know yet. But you know what? I can put this on the table and I'll know what he is. And that's really all I wanted. Okay? Yeah. All right. So now, we're going to do the exact same thing with the Greylord Grey on these guys. Okay? As you guys can see, that blue just gives a bit of a shade. All right? And that's all we want. It's not going to be all complicated. Okay? We're just going to take our Greylord Grey and we're going to thin it down a lot with water. And we're going to let this do the work. Okay? This is going to fall into the other recesses. And give us a lot more definition. You know, bring out some of these lines, some of this other paint stuff. Now, I've actually played with oil wash, and we'll do a show with those sometime in the future. That comes later. The upside is that the oil wash technique is not that expensive, because the oil that you buy lasts a while. It's one of the reasons I keep acetone and mineral spirits around. There we go. Can you see? Oh, look at that. Now our guy is ready. Okay? Now, if you guys are wondering, why aren't you basing him? I'll base him later. I don't know what theme I want. So we're just going to take a little bit more of that. Just one more drop. One more drop. That's all we need. One drop. And we're going to thin it way down with a bunch of water, because we have to do it with this guy. The best part about these robots, in my opinion, is that they have so many lines, so many cracks and crevices, and, you know, really cool things that the shadows can augment. And some would say, yeah, and hide your mistakes. And I'd be like, yeah, guess what? Not your minis. Yeah, I got a lot of mistakes on my stuff. But guess what? I make them to play with. So, hashtag, not your toys. Yeah, now look at this guy, huh? Now you can really see his lines and how they come out. And that's really all we are aiming for, okay? We want to make absolutely sure that we can see. All right? So just going to refill the wash right here real quick. There we go. Make sure to get that tail. Yeah, look at that. The tail's got a lot of lines and tracing things. A lot of really cool places that this stuff will happen. And you know, a wash really ties a mini together because it gives you one quick little filter that you're washing, that you're looking through at the whole piece. You know? It's kind of like a dingy dark wash is like, hey, this is a dingy dark thing. Cool. And hey, there's some dingy dark of this color and some dingy dark of that color and some dingy dark of this. You know, hey, look, that's a joint. Look at that segmentation. A lot of folks like panel lining. We'll get to that because there are some techniques that I'm taking a look at and I'm going to want to practice. And see? Yeah, now this guy, you can really see his lines and stuff like this. He is ready for my table, if not ready for the table entirely. Let's go back to the Wizard's Tower. Okay, guys, this has been pretty cool. All of the chat's kind of crazy today. Hey, ahoy, ahoy, Zen! Seriously, hey, what's going on? What is going on? Xanathades, my friend, from the land of cheese and beer. So, what have we talked about today? We have talked about being mad at the actual thing and the ways that we communicate. Hey, what's going on, Coaster Track? Oh man, yeah, talking to us from the YouTubes. That is great. Who's that? Conster the Monster. What's going on? Sorry it took so long to say what's up to you, but I see you now. I see you. Yeah. Today we painted up a few models and we talked about being mad at the right stuff. Okay. I know that there's a lot of really, really messed up situations and messed up people. We still have one more thing to do, so this isn't the wrap up. You know, we all have stuff that we've gone through, and sometimes that's very difficult not to allow it to seep in to our hobbies and the things that we enjoy, you know. But the question is, your protest, your boycott, who is actually suffering from it? Is the money that you're not spending putting them out of business? Of course not. Are you losing the opportunity to have fun with people who are a higher caliber than those who have insulted you in the past? Absolutely. You know, and don't get me wrong, the perspective that I'm offering is not the quick and easy path. Okay? I know a lot of power gamers. I know a lot of passionate folks. I know a lot of folks who don't think that their words can put off new people or have put off new people. You know, the largest amount of people I know don't believe that they have that much influence, primarily because it's easy to feel like you don't have any power over things, you know. Believe me, I understand, you know. But we never know who we're influencing, guys. We literally never know who is looking to us as an example on how to do things, you know. And so what I try and do, and what I'm recommending you guys to do, is to keep that in mind, you know. And when you're talking to people about stuff that they love, if you don't love it, you don't have to say something. Now, if you're trying to protect them from something, like I recently was at my friendly local game store, and they warned me about a particular power game, you know, that that doesn't like to play unless he can dominate other players, and how he gets mad if his perfect plan doesn't come to fruition because someone outthought him. You know, they told me about him and they warned me against playing with him. And I'm like, okay, thank you for the advice. You know, although I come from the school of the worst advice is advice, but hey, serious, thanks for the heads up. And even in the times that I've tried playing a game with this guy, he just wouldn't do it because he'd never seen me play anything before and he couldn't come up with a strategy. And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, you know. I didn't have to confront him. I could just not play with him, you know. But if you guys know a lot of the same types of people that I know, chances are the people that talk to you about this, and this is me practicing empathy, y'all, have been hurt more than anything else. And as a culture, we don't make a lot of room for that, you know. And I know, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, guys. I know what it's like to be hurt by people. To be hurt by people that you trust. Heck, even hurt by folks that you consider family, or even folks that are family. But if we don't open ourselves up to being that kind of vulnerable, if we don't open ourselves up to giving people a little bit of a chance, then we miss out on the chance to make more friends, to be happy. A lot of people talked to me when I was in a band, and I wanted to hit the road, put up flyers. At the time there was this thing called pay to play, where you could get booked at a big venue, but you had to pay for the tickets to your show yourself. That's what you had to do. And they gave you the door when essentially you bought all the tickets and it was on you to sell them to get your money back. That's what it came down to. And the people that I was playing with, they're like, nah, man. Nah, I'm not going to pay to play. What do I look like? Some kind of fool or stoolie? And the thing is, I put in the work. I met a lot of people. And when the band inevitably broke up, I was getting work as a studio guy. And I kept playing. And I made a little bit of money. I didn't get famous. I'm on a couple of albums. No, I'm not going to tell you which ones. But I was able to have that experience and go to some of the parties with the B-list of B-list entertainers, And I got further in my music career than the people that actually taught me how to play, because their mindset was, what if it doesn't work? What if I get hurt? What if we take all this money, pay for these tickets, and we can't sell them? And I'm like, so you would rather quit before even starting than to take the chance at things not going the way that you expect? And honestly, that came from a lot of their previous pains, a lot of the traumas and stuff that they had, so when you're mad at stuff, a company, a gaming system, I challenge you guys to ask what you're really upset about, and is that something that the actions that you're taking will affect? And some people will be like, well, yeah, it makes me feel better. Maybe it'll make you feel better right now, but is that the way to heal, or even to get back at the ones that did you wrong? A lot of people have done me wrong in gaming over the years, but guess what? I'm here with you guys now. I have a whole Twitch channel and a YouTube channel, and I do community outreach, and I play games all the time. I'm trying to make this a living, so please subscribe with your Amazon Prime account. I know we're all broke, okay? And the Amazon Prime account is free, so please do that. And they are mad looking at all of the gaming stuff that they had that they can't play with anymore. And I get to make toys and hang out with you guys and go to different places and play games with people all over the world. I think I'm doing a little better. And all of that is because I realized I was mad at the way they did stuff and not at the games I was playing. most of the times. Some games are just not for me. You know. But I don't know. What do you guys think? If you guys got any questions or want to email me about stuff and say, you know what, the dude is just wrong. Well, that's easy. All you got to do is open up your email and go to backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK@gmail.com. You can also reach out to me on Twitter and on TikTok and on Instagram, and of course join Deckers on the book. Thank you guys. Seriously, thank you for being here. This is really cool. This is very cool that you guys are here. I'll be back in a few days with the normal dark side of the room. In a few days after I get over the stress hangover and I have one more day of work this week. So I'll probably be back Thursday. If I'm very, very lucky, I'll have a co-host with me. I have to talk to him about that. But all in all, thank you guys for being here. And if anybody tells you that you can't like the stuff you like because of the circumstances of your birth, be they race, religion, creed, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, neurodivergency, or your budget, because anybody that's ever been to a trailer park was always walking distance from the hood, you can just tell those people to take any of those cards and put them back in the deck. This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, saying thank you guys for being here, and we will see you next time.